How's it going? This is Kyle. I produce a destination marketing podcast. We had a few issues recording with some files that went a little bit weird in the software we use. I cleaned it up as best as I can, and bear with us, it's still great content.
The main thing that they help us with is just they talk about their love of Waco, and they convey that to the world. And because of that, people have come to this town and really seen it as a tourist destination. And maybe even the most important thing is that locals are starting to look at their town in a more positive way too.
Today's show is brought to you by a great partner of ours named Connect Travel. Connect Travel puts on the premier trade shows and conventions in the destination marketing industry. Coming up in February is the Marketing Leadership Summit, and that's February 19th through the 21st in Kissimmee, Florida. We're really excited about that event. It has a unique format that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. So go to connecttravel.com if you want more information. We hope to see you there. Hello again, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker, excited to be with you today. And we have a great guest for you, someone that, I always enjoy having people on when I've been to their destination because it just kind of changes the whole scope of the episode for me. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Carla Pendergraft, and she is from the Waco, Texas Convention and Visitors Bureau. Carla, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
Absolutely. I'm especially excited to have you, and I'll tell everybody why as we get more into the show. But obviously, as we start the episode, we've got the icebreaker questions we always do. Tell me a little bit about your dream destination. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would that be?
I think I'd go to Italy. There's just something about the romance of Italy and the food there, the people. And I've been to Europe, but never to Italy. And I would just love to go there. That would be my place.
Italy is really kind of winning the battle here as far as places that people would put on their dream destination. A lot of people have said Italy. I've never been there, but as the way so many people are describing it, either people that have been there or people that want to go there, it's climbing up my bucket list.
Oh, I think it should. For everybody, there's a tour of Europe that people used to do long ago. And when they came of age, they would go all around Europe and see all the great sites. And we don't really do that anymore. It's a pretty expensive endeavor. And I certainly haven't done that. But that'd be something to really understand some of Western civilization. You kind of have to look to that area of the world to see some of that. But we should all make an effort to get all over the world if we could, if we're that lucky. Being destination marketers, sometimes we have more of an opportunity to do that than other people.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I know that I have approached travel completely differently since I've gotten into this industry. I've mentioned it before on the podcast here, but I find myself looking at wayfinding signs and evaluating people's wayfinding signs. And, I'm coming at it from a completely different angle, but by seeing other destinations, we can get ideas and we can get inspiration for things that we can do in our own destination, right?
That is so true. I was in New Orleans recently, and I took pictures of their wayfinding signs. I just geeked out on them. And, but we also want to just see how do they welcome visitors and how do they make that visitor experience something that makes people want to come back and talk to other people about. And that's what we're about is figuring out that secret sauce that so many cities have been able to master.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's dive into where you've been. Tell me kind of your favorite place you've ever been.
Well, I would say that it has to be France. And when I was just all of turning 18 years old, I was lucky enough to be able to go with a girlfriend to France. And I was just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and tried out my high school French on anybody that would listen. And we just had the greatest time. I'd still look back at that as one of the most special times of my life. And I never understood why people said that France was, hostile towards Americans or whatever, because we didn't see any of it. There was not a day that went by that somebody didn't offer to share their wine with us at dinner. And I think some of it was just that we were just our attitude. We weren't afraid to try our French, and I'm sure it was just awful. But people kind of took us under their wings, and it was just the most wonderful time. And we went all over the country. We spent about 30 days there, and we started in Paris and and then went around to Bordeaux and went to the south of France. And I could hear the different accents, and that fascinated me too. So that would have to be my place that I would love to return to, but I'm afraid it might be different, the second time around at my age.
There's something to be said about being young and seeing something for the first time. It's almost like your brain's like a database. Here's science according to Adam, but your brain's like a database, and you just don't have a whole lot shoved in that database that early in life, and it just seems like it's more impactful when you experience something for the first time as a child or young adult.
I think that's just so true. And then we come at it later in life, and maybe our standards are set differently, and we have expectations that may or may not be met. But for me, I just wanted to go there and meet people, and we did. We met people everywhere we went, and they just loved us. But I think it was just because we probably reminded them of their kids, and I think everybody sort of welcomes people when they have that wide open, wide-eyed look. We see that here in Waco too a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll talk about that look. I've seen that look in Waco before as well. Um, I just think that sometimes experience may have a tendency to get in the way almost of curiosity because like you said, when you were 18 years old, seeing France, just such an incredible and awe-inspiring experience. I wish I could have done something like that as I graduated from high school. The closest thing that I did was, for my church, I served a 2-year mission in Brazil, and I was in Brazil there.
Wonderful.
And it was kind of that thing, I'm a young kid and just out on my own for the first time, and, didn't get to do a lot of the touristy stuff. I need to go back to Brazil and see what it would be like to experience as a tourist. But man, what an incredible experience at that age.
And did people take you under their wing like they did us?
Oh yeah. If there's one thing that I miss about South America and Brazil was the people. I mean, you said your French was bad. My Portuguese was bad, when I first got there, and I only knew how to say, basically, I need to use your bathroom. I think is about as far as I could get at first, but that was the essentials. But yeah, it was so great. The people were so awesome. I think humans naturally are a little more welcoming than they get credit for.
I agree. I think that's totally true. I think a lot of us destination marketers, we have locals that may grumble from time to time, but if those locals are actually confronted with a visitor who needs some help, they would reach out to them and help them in any way they could. And we have people here that we can see people that are lost, and people have told me that they drive them where they need to be, and these are total strangers. So, I think we just have this urge to help people and to welcome them to where we are.
Totally. Well, I guess I better be careful. We'll go too far down the philosophies of Adam about humans, and so maybe we'll back off of that a little bit. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into tourism.
So many of us who get into tourism just sort of stumble into it, and I think that sort of happened to me. I went to school in Santa Barbara, California, for a degree in Middle Eastern Studies because I've always been interested in the whole world, and then found out I couldn't do a whole lot with that degree. So then I got a master's degree in business from Texas State University. That's what brought me to Texas. And I left for several years. I was recruited by Diners Club and lived in Colorado, lived in Chicago for a few years. But I always yearned for Texas. And I do think that there's a yearning in all of us. I love that you start out with favorite destinations or destinations that you want to go to, because I think that we have a fantasy or a dream in our minds about what different places are like. So for me, even though I had lived in Texas for a couple of years, it was just like this dream destination to me. And I felt like my life was going to be all right if I could get back to Texas, having gone through some little bit of a marital issue of divorce and that type of thing. And so I came to Waco. I didn't know much about it. I just knew it was on the Brazos River, and and I came into the Waco Convention and Visitors Bureau. And why they hired me, I have no idea. I had trade show experience and, some related in very general ways of skills that they wanted for this position. And I think I just lucked out. And I came to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and that was in 1990, a long, long time ago. And just 2 years after that, we had the Davidian standoff here in Waco, and
Right.
that was quite a lot to go through early in the career.
I bet it was. So you're 20 years in now at Waco.
Actually, 30.
Oh my gosh, my math. So this is the reason I'm not in accounting, okay?
No one said there would be a test today, so.
That's right. I did not get a heads up on this. 30 years. Oh my goodness, that is a long time to be in one place. And you said you kind of started out with the Davidian standoff. I wasn't necessarily going to ask you about that, but since you brought it up, tell me about the effect or impact of that situation on Waco at the time compared to how it affects the destination today, right? Because
yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah, so many people before recent events, that might have been all they knew about Waco, right? So
that's exactly it.
Yeah, give me a little bit of how that impacted your destination over time.
So before that, I think Waco has always been known to Texans, so they know where Waco is. They know about Baylor University and
Right.
Texas Ranger Museum and some of those positive things. But outside of Texas, and I was one of those, I didn't know much about Waco other than I thought, well, it's on a river. That's kind of nice. And it's got a college, so that's kind of nice. That was probably pretty much all that I knew about it. And I think that's how the world was until that fateful day. And we got an introduction really quickly to the world's press. They came here and they took up all the hotel rooms, and we had conventions coming in that needed those rooms. I mean, there were a lot of things behind
boy.
the scenes as a DMO that we had to deal with. We were the worst thing that you can have is a bored reporter, and I think all my colleagues will agree with that. We had a lot of bored reporters from all over the world standing around looking for things to report on, and they weren't happy to be here. It was February. It was kind of cold and, not very pleasant weather. And they had nothing to do but wait and wait and wait as the whole world was waiting during that time. And so they wrote articles that weren't very flattering, and each one of those cut the community to the quick. Our communities are all proud. I don't care how big or how little they are. The people who live in this world are proud of where they live for the most part. And it hurts them a lot when negative things are written about them, whether it's about the restaurant choices. I remember all these years I can remember, one said the cuisine ranges from hamburgers to cheeseburgers. And, so I think what that does is how that affected us. It not only affected the world, but it affected our own self-image, which was the most important thing, because it's kind of like Texas. Texas is beloved by Texans, and wherever we go in the world, we talk about how great our state is. You can't say anything bad about Texas to a Texan, right?
Right.
And for good reason. Well, with cities, it's different. And I think people feel free to say this city is a bad city, or is, fill in the blank, it's the armpit of the earth. How many times have you heard that about perfectly nice cities? And that sometimes will then alight in people's minds. And I think that really happened in Waco. We got a poor self-image, many of the people who lived here. And then when Fixer Upper came along and Chip and Joanna Gaines, I don't know that we were ready for that positive attention. So if you believe that you're an ugly duckling for year after year, suddenly everybody says you're a swan. How do you take that information? Because I think towns have feelings about themselves, and Waco was no different. So that's kind of a long answer to that question, but I think it damaged our self-image, and it damaged our image to the world. But the secret with all that is that most of the time the world doesn't care about you at all, and you're not on people's radar. And I do think at some point we went back to sort of not being on the radar.
Well, now, Carla, it's a new era in Waco, right? You guys have had kind of this brand rejuvenation that has come in the last several years, and I actually have gone on a trip to Waco, Texas. My wife is huge into interior design, and it's so funny. I can't get her to buy clothes for herself, but boy, will she spend some money on some home
Oh, I
decorations,
can
right?
imagine. There's people that will not decorate with anything except for Magnolia Home items. Their entire home is
Oh
nothing
man.
but. So consider yourself lucky if you didn't completely redecorate.
Well, we did, but it wasn't all Magnolia, but it definitely all looks like it could be from Magnolia. My wife has been watching that show Fixer Upper for years and years, and we had the opportunity in 2016 to book a trip, and what we did is we stayed in San Antonio for a night or
Mhm.
two, and then we went to Waco for a couple of days, and then we went to South Padre Island. And so it was a combination of multiple destinations. But by far, I will never forget. In fact, I was just looking through some pictures of that trip before we jump back on the line here. I will never forget that the happiest I've ever seen my wife was not on our wedding day, maybe not even when my children were born. It was walking through the store at
Oh
Magnolia.
my goodness. Well, we see that look on people's faces pretty often where they're just in their, I hate to call it Disneyland because that's not really the right term, but just as far as you can tell, this was their dream destination and they're getting all of their wishes fulfilled and they're getting just being able to walk through. They redecorate it by season. So it's now redecorated for spring in Magnolia Market and it's completely new. And so then there's always something for people to come back and enjoy and feel like they're getting sort of a taste of Joanna and how she sees the world, and they want to bring some of that beauty into their own world.
Well, tell me about as a destination what that was like going from, hey, we're pulling out of this negativity that's happened in the past, we're trying to fill the drawers,
Hmm.
right, with more and more positive stuff, and then this happens. Tell me a little bit about that transition.
It was pretty shocking, but shocking in a good way. The show came on our radar pretty shortly after it came on the air, and this was before Magnolia Market opened at the silos. She had the little shop on Bosque, and Joanna actually worked at the store during that time. And I went there. I'd heard about it, and I said, "Okay, I've got to go see what this is all about." And I heard about her aesthetic and kind of what the show was about. I've never been into interior decorating, so it took me a while to get there. But when I went, it was packed wall to wall with people. And this was a 3,000 square foot retail area. And I couldn't understand it. And I talked to a couple of the people and I said, "Are you all related? Are you here on a tour together?" Because I just couldn't imagine people from all,
Where's the
yeah, where's the
bus?
bus? And she said, "No, we don't know each other. I have no idea who these people are, but I'm here to buy." And it was just incredible. I realized then that it was a thing. And we gave them the key to the city here at Waco, and we saw them kind of start to grow. They started to put out books, and then the silos opened. This was October of 2015, and we heard about it through word of mouth that it would be opening a certain day. And we went down there, and we couldn't believe it. This is a 2-acre complex, and it was wall to wall with people, just like her small store, only bigger. So we knew something was up then, and since then they've increased our tourism. They've pretty much quadrupled it from about 500,000 or 600,000 people a year up to 2.5 million visitors a year in our area. And about 1.6 million of them are from Magnolia Market. So, but more importantly than the number of people who come, that's all great, and it's impacted our economy wonderfully. But they really changed our image completely. I mean, it completely turned around,
Right.
and that's what I
Yeah,
see.
they have about as wholesome as of an image as you can get, right?
And they really truly are who they appear to be, from what I can tell, and I have met them a couple of times or have been in different meetings with them. They are who they say they are. And we've seen a couple of times that journalists have taken pot shots at them because, in America, we love to knock our icons off of their pedestals. But their fans have come back and defended them wholeheartedly and full throatedly. So, you have a strong brand when your fans take up the fight for you. You don't have to fight back. So that's been
Yeah.
a great thing to see.
Yeah, I do have one gripe with Chip and Joanna, and I'll tell you what it is. Okay.
What?
I would like to think that I have a sense of humor and I like to joke around with my wife a little bit, and I get the eye roll, right? The eye roll is just every time. But when Chip makes the exact same joke or the exact same sense of humor, suddenly he is just the funniest human being on the planet, and I don't like it.
It's funny because it's something about the delivery, and he's just sort of deadpan, and he's like everybody's favorite buddy. A lot of women would love to be married to him just because he'd be so fun to be around. So we do see that a little bit. He has his own fan base. Joanna's also got a huge blog and lots of fans too. So I think they each have their own fan base, and then they have a fan base of them as a couple. And what a great place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about them because they've obviously had a huge impact on your destination. And we talked about how they've kind of led you from what was a negative perception to an incredibly positive perception of Waco. How do you work with them, and are you able to collaborate with them on specific destination related items?
Absolutely. We have an agreement with them, with their company, and we work hard to as it were, one of the Silo District Marathon key sponsors. And then there's some things that we work on with them. Chip appeared at a VIP dinner where he did a Q&A with my boss, Todd Burtka. And they just help us in a lot of ways. But the main thing that they help us with is just they talk about their love of Waco, and they convey that to the world. And because of that, regardless of what the CVB is doing or not doing, people have come to this town and really seen it as a tourist destination. And maybe even the most important thing is that locals are starting to look at their town in a more positive way too. And I think a lot of people are very proud of being from Waco, but it does take a toll over the years when you get some of that negativity that we did for so many years. So we love it because we go out to a convention now and they'll say, "Oh, you're from Waco? Do you know Chip and Jo?"
I mentioned earlier that today's show is brought to you by Connect Travel. Their Marketing Leadership Summit is coming up in February. I had the opportunity to go last year, and it was such an interesting format. It's actually a format that allows you as a destination to sit down with suppliers for a few minutes, a short period of time, to see if you want to continue the conversation. It allowed me to really meet with several people and get to know their needs quickly and build a quick relationship so that we could see if we wanted to continue the conversation. If you're looking for new technologies, new products, new partners, it's a great way to have a quick introduction without taking too much of your time. I hope to see you there February 19th through the 21st in Kissimmee, Florida. And President Obama will be speaking this year. So we're excited for that event, and we'll see you there. Well, it really is kind of a phenomenon, and I guess I'm going backwards a little bit on this, but I've got to tell you just a couple of funny stories from when we were out there. I hope you don't mind.
Of course.
Okay, so we went to Magnolia, and one of the things that was really important to me and my wife was, hey, we want to see some of these homes that we saw on the show, right?
Uh-huh.
And the Magnolia employees were all very tight-lipped, right, about it. And I did have one girl say, hey, if you drive up this street, who knows, you might see one that you saw on the show. And so, of course, we go drive up and down that street. And sure enough, we did find the house. And it was fun to actually see what we saw on the show. And then we heard where Chip and Joanna's actual farmhouse was. Mm-hmm. And so we drove out on that highway that goes out there. And we pulled over, and you can't, their house is far enough off the road where it's not like you're driving up their driveway or anything like that. And we had pulled off and we were, probably a quarter mile from their house or something like that. And all of a sudden a police officer pulls up behind me. I'm like, oh my gosh, they must get this all the time. This guy's going to tell us to get out of here, And he comes up, he goes, is one of you having a heart attack or a stroke or something like that? And I can't remember what he was asking. And I was like, no. He said, okay, it's not you, and jumps in his car and takes off. So we thought we were in trouble, but turns out he was just looking for, a medical emergency. But the reason I tell you that story is that the experience of Waco is kind of trying, that we were after in Waco, and a lot of the Chip and Joanna fans are after, is like, it's really the underground of the show of going to try to see we went to the bed and breakfast that's in that town a few cities over, and we wanted to see that. You just want to capture so much of it, but that is a strange infrastructure to have and leverage. When it's not like you have signs saying, hey, see all these houses, because then the privacy of those residents isn't protected. So how do you leverage the fixer-upper attractions without pointing out exactly where they are? Does that make any sense at all?
Oh, absolutely. So we got those requests early on, and when the show was going on, most of those were still owned by those same people, but it's been several years. So some people have moved to different towns or whatever, and some have been turned into vacation rentals. So if it's a rental, it's seems like it's kind of fair game for somebody to go by. But there are
Right.
several tours in our area that go by, quite a few of them, and that's sort of up to them if they want to do that. But most of the ones they go by are up for being rented. So, but we did put together a thing that we call the Magnolia Trail, and that is places that are kind of open to the public that are that they were featured on the show, or Joanna talked about them on her blog. So they would include Harp Design, where Clint Harp has his shop.
Oh, we
Jimmy
went
Don's
there.
Homes, yeah. Oh, good. So you went on there. Then Jimmy
Yep.
Don Homes has a couple of different outlets here, and Cedar Chest Antiques. And now they continue to add things to their portfolio. So we have the Karam Shrine building that they're renovating. It's not done yet, but a lot of times fans will come and take pictures at where it'll be turned into a hotel with 40 rooms, boutique hotel, and it's just 3 blocks from where I am right now. So that people take pictures at. And then the old castle, I think I mentioned earlier, that
Yeah.
they're going to be renovating, and at least I assume they're renovating it, because it's fallen down right now, so it needs a
Oh.
loving touch. So people find all these things. You know how fans are. They're going to find things. They're going to
Yep.
watch what the couple does and what Magnolia does, and then they want to seek those out and just see them for themselves. So we love it. We embrace it, and we think it's great that people come here. And people ask me, what are people looking for besides the obvious, just being fans? And I really think that Chip and Jo, it goes back to the wholesome image you mentioned. They represent sort of this hearth and home, and I know that's their line at Target's called Hearth and Home, but
Yep.
or Hearth and Hand, I think. But it's that return to the values of the home, a return to having a beautiful home that we make together, and we make home the way that we want it to be. And the Danish people have a great name for it. They call it hygge, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. Hygge
I
means
wouldn't be able to fact check you there, so I think you're
there you
good.
go. I think it's Hygge, so who knows? But it means coziness. It's maybe a fire in your pajamas, and just a soft rug, and all the beautiful comforts of home. And people want to get back to that. That's why there's so much of what Joanna puts out for sale that people love, because it helps you make your house a home. And I just think those values are becoming more important. All of us career-driven people worked so hard for so many years, but our home is so important. And I think that she recognizes the value of that. And that's what people are seeking. And they see Chip and Joanna as a personification of that couple that is really in tune with their values and in tune with the design aesthetic that all of us would love to have.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I want to go back to one of the things that you said in your answer there, because it kind of segued into my next question. And that's that obviously this kind of hit Waco a little bit by surprise, right? When the show went crazy and all of a sudden there's this giant amount of people that's pouring into Waco. You guys had some catching up to do from an infrastructure standpoint. And you even mentioned some of the things that you've done since I came there early on, and you guys have now added, the Magnolia Trail and the other things like that. What did you guys have to do from an infrastructure standpoint once all these people started pouring into your city?
Yes, so some of the things you have to think about is where will everybody park? And we did not have parking in that area, or not very much of it.
Oh, I
And
remember that.
right, so we had to open up a couple of city lots and put signage up, temporary signage that helped people find where to park. And then the private sector kind of rose up, and suddenly there were all these nearby parking lots that were private that people would attend and charge, I don't know, $10 a car or whatever. And to get close to the silos, people were more than willing to pay that. So, but for a time there, we did a lot of directing with signage to these special lots that were set up, and they were full. And then we had a trolley that brought people from there to the silos, which we expanded the where that goes. So parking seems to have been alleviated, but we've added stop signs because there were so many people crossing streets that was just sort of an abandoned area in that area, not very used. It's downtown, but it's just a little bit outside the main part of downtown. So just there needed to be traffic control. There were just so many things, even down to the water pipes. The water lines in that area are old because it's just not an area. It was an area that was very big in the 20s, 30s, 40s, but not so much since. And so then having to expand those water lines to be able to bring enough water to that area. I mean, there are so many things that a town would have to think about if this happened to them that we definitely went through. So traffic control and making sure people know how to get around. We're looking at wayfinding and always trying to improve that. Our city center, which is our public improvement district, came up with some signage kiosks, and we assisted with that, where we had a map drawn of the whole downtown area. They divided it into districts, which would be sort of like neighborhoods. So one is the Silo district, then you have the Austin Avenue district, and just different areas to help people understand how Waco is laid out and give them a mental map that they could get into their heads and understand. Because our goal is always to, when they come here to see Magnolia, we love that, but we also want them to see the rest of Waco because we have so many more things besides Magnolia Market. And that's our goal at the CVB, is to let people see some of these other things as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I wanted to ask you, with this influx of travelers, how has that affected the other businesses that aren't necessarily tied to Magnolia?
By not tied, so a lot of businesses have sprung up to answer this phenomenon. So we've seen an influx of new restaurants downtown, retail businesses that very clearly have that Magnolia type aesthetic. Like one's called Coming Home to Round Top, which Round Top is a famous antiques area in Texas you may or may not be familiar with. Your wife probably knows about it.
Yeah, I bet
from
she
what
does.
from what you're telling me about her. But so we've seen quite a few new businesses start up. We didn't even have any tour operators in Waco to speak of, or we may have had a couple, but we now have like 4 or 5 tour operators that conduct these tours of the areas that were mentioned on the show. We have 2 river cruises that go down the Brazos River. We have a Texas Experience tour that's offered that lets people go on a horseback ride and create a branded item and see how cowboys work and all of that good stuff. So lots and lots has risen from that. And that to me is one of the main aspects that I see out of the show is people responding to the needs of people to do more than go to Magnolia. And it's great because they're definitely capitalizing on, 1.6 million new visitors a year.
Wow, that's great stuff. I'm glad to hear that the city has been able to continue to build that infrastructure and support the travelers coming in. What about hotel accommodations? Have you had to build several hotels to accommodate that traffic, or tell me how that
So
part
we
of it?
have, Waco had before all this boom, we were actually pretty underbuilt for hotels. We're at about 3,500 rooms in the market. And when all is said and done, we'll have 2,000 new rooms. So we definitely are seeing tons of hotel growth. And it's just so exciting because that's going to also help other areas of Waco. So we'll have several that we can use for our convention trade and house people there that are using our Waco Convention Center and our Heart of Texas Fair Complex and other big facilities. So, hotels help the whole economy. You think about all those jobs that creates and people
Right.
coming to stay overnight. It's really tremendous.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, tell me, okay, so you've got the show has kind of slowed down because they aren't airing any new episodes, but I know they're working on their network that's coming out and everything. How has the season or the last season ending of Fixer Upper, how has that affected the traffic coming to Waco?
We were at 5 or 600,000 at the beginning before they came in, and now we're at about 2.5, 2.6 million visitors a year. We will never go back down to what we were. Yes, it's leveled off some because there aren't new eyes watching the show. There's some new fans, but most of the people who wanted to come here have kind of come here, but they keep coming back. And when that new network drops in October or November, whenever it actually opens up, I think we're going to see a whole new influx of people who watch it because, like you said, they've been off for a couple of years now, and we have not we've seen a leveling off of people coming, not the rocket type growth that we had before. But it's nice because it's allowed us to catch our breath. The
Yeah.
other piece is the $10.4 million expansion of Magnolia Market. So have you heard about that at all?
I haven't. Tell me about that.
So again, this fall, coinciding kind of with the new network, they are expanding Magnolia Market Complex to have, they're going to bring an old church that they're going to renovate. They're going to actually move it there. So there'll be a
Oh my
beautiful
goodness.
church that will be able to be used as, for people to contemplate or go in and get out of the sun. They're going to have a new market area where they'll be able to, I'm assuming they will be able to sell their furniture there because the furniture line is not available in Waco. And then several other retail areas, a visitor information area, a wiffle ball field. And the reason why they're doing wiffle ball, which I'm not even sure what that is, but it's something with a ball, right?
Right.
um, that is a nod to the Katy Park, which was built in that area years ago and was torn down over the years. So they wanted to have a wiffle ball field to have a nod to Katy Park.
Wiffle ball's a blast. You got to get into
Is
it,
it?
Carla. Oh yeah. As soon as that's built, you got to get into it and try it out. It's a lot of fun.
I can't wait. Right now, you can go and play all these free games like soccer, and they have bats and balls and sort of an astroturf area that you can
Yeah,
just
I think
sit
I
on the
remember
lawn furniture.
cornhole out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a whole ecosystem there. People can come, and a lot of people just go to Magnolia Market area because it's way more than just the market. Of course, you probably ate at the food trucks. They have the garden
Yep.
shop, they have the little bakery, and then they have the retail store that everybody has to visit. And they decorate it for each season. So you see right now they're decorating for the spring, and there's inspirational verses, and just you can find out what the new color palette is for this spring by going there. So it's beautiful.
Well, I loved my experience there and all the different things that we did. I wasn't as big of a fan of the show before we went, and by the time we left, I loved it. And so it was such a great experience. But I will say, outside of Magnolia, my favorite thing was the Dr. Pepper Museum that's right next door to Magnolia, or just down the street. Is that Was that just me that thought it was that popular, or is that pretty well trafficked as well when people come into town?
Oh, yes, they've had a huge increase in the number of attendees who have come to the Dr. Pepper. Like you said, it's just around the corner. A lot of people will park there. Dr. Pepper's really smart because they let their parking lot be used for people to park, regardless of
Ah.
whether they're going to the museum or not. So then people park there, go to the silos, and come back and visit the museum, have a cold Dr. Pepper or a float made with Dr. Pepper syrup and all kinds of good things.
Oh, lots of fun. Okay. What more are you building out for the men that are accompanying the women that mainly come to Magnolia?
Right. So we thought a lot about them. And one of the reasons the Silo Trolley, which is a free hop on, hop off trolley that goes by Magnolia Market, we make sure that it goes by Balcones, which is a distillery, and it's award winning. It's won every major award, and it's corn whiskey, but it's upscale corn whiskey, and it's delicious. It's if
Interesting.
you like whiskey, and we thought of that for the guys. There's also several retail outlets that cater to men specifically, because I think they know that some men just love the show and they love to visit the market. Others are sort of dragged along, so it just depends. We want to have something for everybody. Certainly is family oriented though. Though I mean, all of Waco pretty much is family friendly. So lots of people bring their families. But yes, sometimes the husbands get a little bit bored, but they better keep their eyes open because by the time that their wife's done, I don't know if they may they may be a little worried.
That's right. Yeah, you got to monitor the spending in there.
Exactly.
Well, hey, Carla, I'm just wondering, obviously the last 10 years for you guys has been very eventful and you've seen a lot of change and you've made a lot of improvements, and kudos to you guys for really working on the infrastructure to keep up with the new traffic that's coming in. What's next? What's next for Waco? What do the next 10 years look like?
I think we always need to be, as DMOs, upping our game. We need to look at not just Magnolia, because Magnolia is, like I said, it's an ecosystem, and they're doing great at adding to it. But you think about places like Disneyland, you have to give people a reason to come back and a reason to see the rest of it. So we need to do the best job that we can to promote the destinations as a whole and support our other attractions. Make sure that people know that we have a zoo, we have Dr. Pepper, we have Waco Mammoth National Monument, we have Mayborn Museum, Texas Ranger Museum, the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, all the other great things. So yeah, that's our job, is to make sure people know about the rest of it too.
That's great. That's great. Well, Carla, tell me if there's anything I haven't asked you about your experience that you think other destinations that might be listening, that may be experiencing. I don't know if there's anything just like what you've gone through, but an influx of traffic or a new attraction that boosts things. What haven't I asked you that you think might benefit our listeners?
Yeah, I think if this happens to someone, which it's like a bolt of lightning out of the blue, you kind of have to just roll with it. You need to try to build a relationship with that attraction, like we've tried to build a relationship with Magnolia, and they've been so great with us. We just feel so lucky that they've allowed us to work so closely with them, because I don't think they need us very much. We need them, but they don't need us. But so just having a good relationship with them, and then not forgetting about the rest of the DMO too. It's easy to just concentrate on that big guy, but we need to look at all those other attractions and make sure that they're feeling some love, and that they're supported, because they were there before Magnolia, and the town didn't come on the map just with Magnolia. The town was here before, well before Magnolia, and well before our attractions were built.
Right.
So you have to kind of look at the scope of history and see where you came from, but we attribute a lot of this just to dumb luck. The fact that they came to Baylor University is just lucky on our part. But I think we were due for some luck too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Carla, this has been a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I have no doubt that you and I are going to have the opportunity to meet in person because, like I said, I've never seen my wife happier than she was when we were there in Waco. And I have every intention of bringing her back, especially now that you've got the new attractions like better parking for one thing, and then the Magnolia Trail, and a lot of the new stuff that you've added. We have to come check that out. It was such a great trip for us, and anyway, it's been great to kind of chat with someone who is on the destination marketing side of where I was a tourist and had a great experience. So thank
Yeah,
you so
that's
much
so
for coming
neat.
on.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had a good experience and that cop didn't arrest you. That's awesome. You'd never forget that either, would you?
Yeah, I won't name the destination, but there is another place where a cop pulled me over, and I don't know that I've ever forgiven the city. So yeah,
It's true.
definitely good.
Okay, great. Will you come anytime? And after October would probably be good, because we'll have so many new things to show you, and your wife's going to fall in love all over again with both Waco and you.
Now you're speaking my language, Carla. Well, hey, thanks so much for your time, and I really appreciate you coming on.
You betcha. You take care. Bye bye.
All right, everybody. This has been another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I sure did. It was especially fun for me personally here because of my experience there in Waco. I want to remind everybody, if you're not part of the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group, you're missing out on some of the fun content that we post on there, especially as a follow-up to the show. Anytime we talk about tangible materials or something like that you could go look at visually, we try to post them in the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. And then on top of that, we have a lot of people asking questions, sharing their knowledge, and it's a fun way as a community to continue to grow together in the tourism industry. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next week.